Good evening, children of the night, assorted daywalkers, all the Naish who are out there. Hello and welcome to New Game Who Dis. I am your storyteller for this evening. My name is Jared Logan, and I am really excited to bring over to my friends, my mentors at the Glass Cannon. I'm bringing Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition. I'm going to be running this game for some incredible players. We have a stellar cast tonight. This is a game of gothic horror in the modern nights. Hard, tragic, moral decisions, I would describe this game as. It says on the back, this is the first time I'm reading the back, a storytelling game of personal and political horror. Whoa. Oh, God. I think we've all had enough political horror lately.
No politics. Come on.
Come on, leave it. No politics, no religion.
In this day and age.
This is a nice game about eating other people.
In this economy.
That will be Noura's catchphrase tonight. Anytime there's a slight lull in the game, Noura will shout, "In this economy," and we'll all be having a great time. That's very on character for Event True. Let me introduce my amazing cast and ask them one dorky question. We have a wonderful group here tonight. I'm going to ask one of the people I've played vampire games before, but she's played an Inquisitor on some of my streams. Please welcome Noura Ibrahim. Noura, hello. Do you have a very favorite vampire movie or book or anything like that? A favorite vampire property?
I love the old school, like the OG Nosferatu film.
Mm. Oh yeah, where he kind of moves in that kind of silent film way. Yeah.
Yeah. Love it.
Why that? That's so, I love it too, but it's so specific. It's so,
because it was there before Hollywood. Yeah. Like it's the OG kind of like, it's very old school. I love like historic lore. The actor in it is creepy as fuck.
True.
Loved it. And in a former life of mine where I taught English in Korea for a couple of years, I remember showing it to my students and they were bored as hell, and I got so mad at them that I made them like they were like little kids. They didn't get it. But I was personally offended, so I gave them extra homework because they did not appreciate it like I appreciated it.
Wow.
So,
did you ever see the Willem Dafoe movie that was about the making of that movie?
Oh, I love Willem Dafoe.
That was really good, yeah.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm. That's why Noura is a good vampire player. It's all about petty vengeance against school students or other vampires. Max Schreck, the name of the actor. Am I right about that?
Yes.
Schreck.
Yes.
I'm a bit of a cinephile, Troy. Mm-hmm. Troy Lavallee, you're on our cast as well.
Oh, sorry.
What's that?
I was going to say real quick, What We Do in the Shadows is my current like vampire obsession.
Mm-hmm. All right, don't name too many because these guys are rapidly trying to think of theirs.
Gotcha.
So 2 have been taken, guys, I'm afraid. Troy Lavallee, an incredible GM who has starred on some of my Blade streams over on the Stream of Blood. Troy Lavallee, welcome. Are you excited for Vampire?
Oh, I'm excited to just let you run it. Is what I'm excited about.
To stand back and just fuck up my plans completely. I can't wait for that.
This is, I've been sitting with the book. The amazing people of World of Darkness sent me the book a little while back, and we've been playing a lot of new games on New Game Who Dis, and they go anywhere from rules light to super chunky. This has the potential to be crazy chunky, which I like, but it's a little intimidating.
It certainly is. I think that, you were making the point earlier when we were chatting that you can kind of choose how much certain elements come into the game, which is cool. It means it's not only chunky, it's kind of customizable. It's a wonderful game and has been for like 30 years now. But the new edition by the folks at Paradox Interactive and Modifius and Jason Carl and a bunch of nice folks is really incredible. Troy, do you have a favorite vampire property?
I do, and it's so sad and so front door, but I played Dracula my senior year in high school when they opened up a black box theater at my all-boys high school in Danvers, Massachusetts. And so I wanted to watch the movie that was out the year I graduated high school, which was Wait, let me see. Is that true? No, I guess it would be the year I started high school was 92. I think Bram Stoker's Dracula came out in 92. But it was R-rated, and my parents were a little weird about that, so I had to be like, Mom, Dad, it's for research! What a terrible movie.
It was only terrible because of Keanu Reeves and
Winona Ryder.
Everyone else in the movie was pretty good.
Yeah, didn't Tom Waite play Renfield or something? Or
Yeah. He was
combined
awesome.
a lot of
amazing.
characters. Yeah, and
The
Gary
key to-
Oldman was awesome. There was a lot of cool stuff. But
The key to that movie, I think, is to watch just one scene, because each scene is kind of awesome by itself, but it doesn't ever. In the movie, the pacing is all crazy. It's like, anyway, we do have footage of Troy playing Dracula in his high school play. Could you play that, Grant?
go to the videotape.
I'm sorry, I couldn't get clearance from the Danvers all-boys high school Troy went to. It was too expensive to clear the rights for that. So
It's not in the St. John's Prep Archives?
yeah. Also, he wouldn't show up on camera. He was playing so method, he was invisible.
I was invisible.
Impressive. Wow.
That's why Troy got the role, because he didn't have to go on stage at all.
That's right. And I was in the audience the whole time.
It's like that Willem Dafoe movie.
Let's meet the rest of our cast. They will not be invisible. Sydney Amanuel, how are you?
I'm great. I'm so excited for tonight. And I was rapidly trying to think of my vampire franchise. And the first thought that came to my head was Dracula, because I actually, a few months ago, I finally read Dracula. I realized I never actually read it cover to cover, and it was great. It was super enjoyable to read. The first-hand accounts are really cool. The letters, that's like written in a very interesting way. But on a different note, I think I'm going to say one of my favorite vampire movies, totally opposite to Dracula, and it's sort of like male-themed. Women are so helpless in certain situations. I loved A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Ooh,
seen
it
it
is
either.
definitely like art film. It leans towards art film. It's black and white. The pace is slow. It's very odd, but it kind of reinvents this idea of what a vampire can be. And it's like this young girl, and you're not really sure, like, is she a vampire? Is she not a vampire? But it's a lot of fun. It's a good film, and I would recommend.
I'm going to go watch it.
Huh.
Do it.
That's cool. And finally, Skid Maher, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. How are you? It is a pleasure to meet you, and I'm very excited to play with you and with Noura because you guys are awesome.
Yeah, I went to Noura first because she's our vampire veteran. Skid, this is your first time playing this game, but you like all that sci-fi, fantasy, horror crap. What is your favorite vampire property?
I don't like vampires. I never
What?
have. There's something about
Exile, delete. How do I make him go away?
I don't know what it is. Like, I've never really been able to put my finger on it, but I think it's like there's sort of a cross section of people who really like vampires and like theater kids. It really makes me uncomfortable. And it's like the capes. And it's like people who like really get into karaoke. Like, those are the kind of people that really like
triple
vampires.
threat of calling me out right now.
is going to
So-
kill
yeah.
you, Skid.
You're just describing Nora's personality.
How dare you, Skid?
But I like all the other stuff, like being super strong and killing people. Like, that's awesome. So
Yeah, and you got Strahd behind you there, right? You
I
like
do.
Strahd, don't you?
no, I've never played it because I don't like vampires. But I was able to find footage of Troy in his high school production. There we go.
Oh, there he is.
There he is.
Take a look.
Look at that.
And that is just how he wore his hair back then, I think.
That's right. Yeah. They're like,
Yeah.
yeah, just, you know what? Just keep it. Would you be willing to cut your hair? No. Oh, all right.
That was the style at the time.
Okay, great. Well, I'm so happy to have this amazing cast. We are about to do character creation, but first, Troy's going to tell you about some giveaways. Troy?
Oh, yeah, we've been so fortunate. We're batting 1,000 for giveaways for every single episode of New Game Who Dis, and this week is no different. World of Darkness, amazing group of people have knocked my mic over, have given us more giveaways for you beautiful people. So we're going to be doing 4 every week. And the 4 are going to be, we're going to give a hard copy of this amazing core rule book with a set of the Vampire Masquerade dice. That's one of that's probably the pièce de la resistance. This book is like a work of art in and of itself. And I'm a shill, obviously, but it is It's really something else. I've never seen a core rule book quite like this. We're giving one of those away with a set of dice, and then we're going to be giving away three digital copies of the core rule book. This is a big one tonight. So just check out the chat. Brennan will be dropping in the links on how to enter, and if you don't win, go out and buy this from Modifius, because it's really something else. Thank you, World of Darkness, for hooking us up.
It really is an incredible book. The illustrations inside are insanely good, and it's a very great game. You should play it, and also great to read on a train, just like a bloody woman's face, you know, just on the subway, kind of enjoying. See what kind of conversations you get into. Are we ready to kill some people and bring them back to life, i.e., character creation?
Yeah.
Yes.
Then let's do this.
So ready.
Rise, my vampires. Cheers. I'm drinking rosé because I'm a thin blood. Okay. So, we're going to first talk about your character's human lives. And to do that, we're going to set your attributes. So, could I see page 144, I believe, of the core book, Mr. Grant?
Great page. That's a real great
favorite page. We're going to talk about their human life. And you have your sheets there before you. And you'll see that you have... we're going to get right into the attributes. And I think that we'll go back to your name and your clan and all that when we get to like the vampire side of things. So we're going to just start with your attributes. You see they're divided into 3 categories: physical, social, and mental. In physical, you have strength, dexterity, and stamina. Pretty self-explanatory for anybody who's played a role-playing game. In social, you have charisma, manipulation, and composure. That's kind of a new one. It kind of means keeping it together, staying calm, which you'll see when we play is super important in Vampire. And then in mental, we have intelligence, wits, and resolve. Intelligence is kind of like knowing stuff. Wits is how quick you think, like spotting things. And resolve is sort of your, it's sort of your will, like how intent you are on getting something done. So you can see on page 144, the book would like you to set one of those at 4 dots. I mean, out of all of these attributes, set one of these at 4 dots, 3 of them at 3 dots, 4 at 2 dots, and 1 at 1 dot. And I'm going to start to everybody can go ahead and start doing their distribution, but I'm going to start by kind of talking one of you through it. So I'm going to start with Troy. I think Troy had an idea of what kind of character he was possibly playing. Troy, do you know where you're throwing your dots?
So I have a few concepts I'm going with, but I think the stat rollout, the attribute rollout is going to be kind of similar. I want to go more intelligence-based than strength-based. And so someone who relies on intelligence and wits and manipulation. Yeah, I think I'm going to put my 4 in I was going to say intelligence, but I'm going to do manipulation.
Okay. Very, very good choice for the Vampire the Masquerade game, because so much of your interaction with the other vampires is social interaction, getting secrets out of them, keeping your own secrets. Manipulation is a very good choice for your 4 dots. Why don't I ask you, what's going to be 1 dot? What's the dump stat for your vampire?
The dump stat is going to be strength.
Strength, okay. So a manipulative weakling, great. I love where this is going.
You manipulative weakling!
How dare you, sir? I am ageless.
I love it. I mean, that definitely a Nosferatu the movie vibe, right? He doesn't seem like he's very physically powerful, but I think he does do some mesmerizing, some hypnotism in that film. Okay, and then you're going to place 3 of them at 3 dots and 4 of them at 2 dots. So let me know where those end up going.
Yeah, I'm going to do 3 in charisma, intelligence, and wits, and then 2 in dex, stamina, composure, and resolve.
Okay, so just an FYI, and of course you could make changes at this point in the character creation. Composure plus resolve is how your willpower is derived, and willpower is super important in the game. You roll it to prevent yourself from going into a frenzy, which can happen a lot. All vampires have a beast inside them that is always bubbling up, trying to make them into feral monsters. And in order to remain a civilized predator, you must roll willpower a lot and spend willpower when you fail rolls. If you want to re-roll up to 3 dice that you have failed on, you can spend points of willpower to do that. So just keep in mind, that's what composure and resolve, it's part of what they're bringing you.
That's a good point. And so I'll flip wits and resolve, just to have a 3 in resolve and a 2 in wits instead.
Okay, very good. All right, so this is a very brainy character. Let me hop around to some of the other players here. Noura, do you know where you're putting your dots?
Yeah, mine are done.
Well, girl, tell me where you put them.
So I envision, I'm kind of between clans right now, how this will end up, but I imagine a very sophisticated, very charming woman of the world. And so I think her top attribute is going to be charisma. So that's going to be the 4 dots. The 3 dots I put in manipulation because I see her as being, in high social circles, you need to be very manipulative and very composed. So I put 3 dots in composure and 3 dots in wits, because I thought that she would need to be in situations where she would need to be quick on her feet with in social standings. So I put 2 in intelligence, 2 in resolve, 2 in strength, 2 in dex, and dump stat will be stamina because, she's not going to run in high heels for very long. So your character, the dump stat is stamina, perfectly valid choice, of course, but she should watch out for combat situations because your health is your stamina plus 3. So she'll start out with only 4 health levels. Of course, a nice thing about vampire is if you're playing a vampire, it's very easy to heal yourself by kind of rousing your blood, and it takes quite a lot to hurt you. For example, guns, blades, they do superficial damage to you, so that's probably a pretty good place to put, And because I didn't want to, if somebody relies on their charm a lot, maybe that'll compensate for any sort of physical altercations they'll be getting into.
Right, the anarchs won't attack you because they want to be your friend, right? Great.
We'll see.
Now let's talk to Sydney. Sydney, where are you putting your dots? Do you have do you envision who this person was as a human at all?
Yeah, somewhat. I think they've changed a lot in the years of being a vampire compared to who they were as a human, but this is what I got so far. I'm thinking, just from what you were saying before, 4 in composure, 3 charisma, 3 resolve, 3 wits. So I'm trying to make them, they're good with people, but they're not Noura good with people. But they can really keep their cool, though. They're like super ice cold in situations. Yeah. Nobody can see the poker face. It's all good. Dump stat strength, unfortunately. I was trying to figure out, but once you said stamina had to do with health, I was like, okay, maybe I'll just switch that one around to a 2.
Sure.
Not trying to make mine like an OP character, but so I think dump stat strength and then dexterity, stamina, and intelligence will also have 2.
Okay, excellent.
Oh, and manipulation.
I love that kind of... Yeah, 2 as well, right? I love that cool as ice kind of vibe. That's like very vampire. That's awesome. And finally, Skid, where are you putting your dots?
I have a ridiculously specific idea for this person.
Oh, great.
So,
I want to hear it.
We'll get into it later, but he's very strong. Everything is on the physical side. He's got 4 in strength, 3 in dex, 3 stamina, and 3 in resolve.
Yeah.
And then 2 in everything, but intelligence is the dump stat. 1 in intelligence.
Oh, I love this. We have
we got our take.
We have some like social operators right now, some kind of, very cerebral characters, and 1 bruiser. I love it.
Yeah, this is one I said I hate vampires, but I was doing kind of a medium deep dive into the lore of this game today and yesterday, and it's awesome.
Yes.
And so I was picturing this guy. I don't know how it works if we can pick this or anything, but I was thinking of him. He could be like a hound, like for the local prince, or for
lovely.
the sheriff. Like someone like a cop, a vampire cop. I don't know, but that's what he's suited for, is that kind of physical work.
It's very possible. We are going to talk about, when we get into your vampire lives, what the entire why is the coterie together? The coterie is your party. And why is this very, brick kind of character hanging out with these socialites? We'll find out very soon. Now, if we could, Mr. Grant, could we jump to page 147? And we are going to do the quick skills assessment, which is kind of the only way I do it. And you're going to pick kind of a rundown of how your skills go. Now, I think at this point it is a good idea to mention the setting so the viewers know. We're going to be playing in the city of Philadelphia in the year in November of 2020. The pandemic is a thing, but we're not going to get really deep into that. It will be the year 2020, so it'll be just a couple months ago. And that might affect, what skills you decide on or how your character is formed. For some reason, they have been in Philadelphia for a while, and this will be important in a little bit. You are playing neonates, which means you get a little extra XP at the beginning of the game to represent the fact that you've been a vampire for a while. You're through your initiation. You're not a fledgling anymore. You're not a just created vampire. You may have been embraced as early as 1940 as a neonate. So in theory, you could have a character who was born in 1890 and was 50 years old in the year 1940 and then got embraced. So you could be quite old in age.
It's too bad Joe wasn't on the stream in Philly. He could have a character that just lusts after cheese instead of blood.
Okay, great. So if we look at the quick skills assessment, we will see that you can choose for your character to be a jack of all trades, which kind of really spreads out the skill dots. And in this game, you have dots on your sheet, and that's how many D10s you roll when you're rolling a trait. A jack of all trades, balanced, where things are a little more balanced. They're a little less spread out. You get less skills, but they're more equal to each other. Or a specialist, where you get one skill at 4 and 3 skills at 3. So you're really kind of concentrated in one area. And since I ended with Skid before, I'm going to start with Skid now. Skid, what are you thinking? Is your bruiser, is your possible hound, is he a specialist, a balanced character, or a jack of all trades?
He's a specialist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to do 4 points in brawl.
Yes.
And probably 3 in athletics.
Yeah.
And then 3 in melee, I guess?
Sure.
Yeah.
I like that. You get one more skill at 3.
Survival.
Great.
This is awesome. We're all so different. Even though I don't know the concepts yet, we're all so different.
Well, I think whoever your characters are, you need this guy. I heard a lot of 1 strength and 1 stamina over there. Okay. Survival, great. So now you get 3 skills at 2 dots.
Let's see. 2 dots. I'm gonna do 2 in awareness. 2 in intimidation. Actually,
Great.
I'm gonna do 3 in intimidation and 2 in survival.
Okay.
And let's see, and then 2 in subterfuge.
Oh, great. So he's not totally without the means of kind of, dealing with lies and trickery and deceit. That's smart.
Yeah.
And now he gets 3 skills at 1 dot. So these are kind of things that maybe are kind of on the fringes of his experience.
Wow. Okay. Larceny for sure at 1. Let's do stealth at 1, and streetwise at 1. There we go.
I totally am seeing this character as you describe it. So
I don't think you are. I don't think you really.
Oh no!
This guy is yet.
Good. Surprise me.
I think I'll manage to surprise you.
That's my favorite thing is being surprised, actually, as a game master. Okay. You can add a free specialty to academics, craft, performance, and science, but you don't have any of those.
I don't want them.
You didn't want them, of course. But you get one more free specialty. So, you could pick a weapon for melee. You could pick a fighting style or a type of brawling that you do. For brawl, you could even add that specialty to a 1-dot skill that you have. And what that means is a specialty means if that specialty applies, you get an extra die on that roll.
Ooh, okay. I think he's going to specialize in a weapon. And I think it's going to be a Louisville Slugger baseball bat.
I love that. And it's very pro Masquerade. In this game, the vampires are trying to keep the heat down at all times. They don't want people to know that they're around. So they don't really like guns that much. They like to carry around knives and swords. It's a great reason for a modern guy to just be running around with a katana, Vampire the Masquerade. The Louisville Slugger has its own connotations, and I love it. Sydney, what are you thinking? Are you a jack of all trades, balanced, or specialist?
I think I'm going to do balanced. Just trying to think about their past and like their professional life, and their professional life before becoming a vampire, their professional life after being embraced. So I think I'm going to do 4 in etiquette. Or no, sorry, 3. We start off with 3 with the professional. 3 in etiquette, 3 in subterfuge, 2 in academics, 2 in finance. That's what I got so far, but I'm kind of going for more, definitely less brawly and more of a socialite.
Yeah, I hear that. Did you have 3 skills at 3 right now? Do you have a third 3-dotter? Do you know yet?
No, I kind of want to wait to hear what everybody else is doing because I want to make sure we're a little bit spread out. I'm like, okay, yeah, Skid's got like the fighting, but I know Noura and I might have like similar characters, so I want to branch out. If you pick something, Noura, I don't want to do the same exact skills as you.
Great. And that's a good thing to bring up because that's always a concern in a game is not all having the same things. What I'll say, just to remind people, is like if you do help each other in this game, if you use teamwork, you get an extra die for each person that helps out, that I think also has the skill that you're trying to use, right? And sometimes if they have quite a high rating in it, I let you have 2 die for that person.
I might drop another 3 into performance, just as a heads up.
Oh, interesting. That's very interesting. Actually, now I want to know, you get a free specialty in that. I want to know what that specialty is.
Oh.
What kind of performance do you think this character does?
The kazoo.
I play the lyre. I play the lute. No, I think, can you do performance going along with the lines of like the poker face thing? Like, can they do I'm thinking like she's in line at a club and she doesn't care whether she gets in or not. She goes to this club every, Thursday night. So are you going to let me in or not? I don't really care. This is a performance though. I would like to get into the club.
Mimecraft.
I'm doing mime. I'm doing mime work.
I think
it's a very popular game.
The nice thing about a specialty is it's kind of free form. There isn't like a set list of choices. If you wanted to make it poker face, you could make it that, and you would get an extra die whenever you are trying to, not let people know what your emotional state is.
Heck yeah, I love it. Poker face specialty, amazing. Can we go to a casino?
Maybe. I don't know if there are any in Pennsylvania, but what the hell? I'll throw away this adventure and we'll go on a road trip.
Atlantic City, here we come. Okay.
There are Penn National Gaming.
So you have your instructions there, Sid, because I know you had a couple other things to fill in, but you see what to fill in for balance. You need 7 more at 1 dot. You're good on that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll let you do that while I move to Noura. Noura, what are you thinking? Jack of all trades, balanced, specialist?
I'm also thinking balanced. Because my attributes were very specific, I kind of want to make the other skills a bit more fair in case I get into a sticky situation. I don't want to be totally screwed.
Right, of course, yeah.
But I at the same time want to keep it realistic to the character. Like I don't want to throw high attributes into something that doesn't seem like her background. So I want to do 3 in performance 3 in persuasion, and 3 in etiquette, because I think that would be fitting for somebody of a high social standing who is charismatic.
Okay, great.
I don't know what the performance thing would be in though, because I haven't gotten that far. Because I don't know what. I have 2 ideas for what clan she would be. So.
Yeah, well, you're welcome to kind of hold off on like kind of deciding that specialty right now.
Okay.
And you can wait till like you decide the clan. I kind of like to think about what the human side of them is first, and then kind of build that in, because you will get those 15 XP from being a neonate that you could pump into things that talk about her vampire life. But for now, you want to just leave it vague, and we'll make sure we find that before we're done.
Yeah, can I go back to that once we've established clan?
100%. And you can even start playing, and then a roll can come up, and you can go, wait, Jared, that's my specialty. And I'll go, I didn't even know that. And then you'll just get that extra die.
Okay, I like that.
It's up to you. It's up to you, of course. Okay,
right.
Let's talk to Troy. Troy, what are you going? Jack of all trades, balanced, specialist?
I'm going to go specialist as well. So what I'm thinking... I'm obsessed with this idea now. I've thrown out all my other ideas. So I'm going to do a 4 in persuasion, 3s in insight, intimidation, and academics. I'll hold off on what the specialty is until we get into the description, because it may change. But I do have something written here. And then 2s in awareness, survival, and occult. And that survival will be my only physical-based skill, at least at this point in character creation.
Great.
And then a 1 in leadership, investigation, and medicine.
Beautiful. I am starting to see these people very clearly. Everybody feels like they're good on their skill dot distribution, because I might move on.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, again, we're going to stick to their human life for right now, okay? I want you to list a conviction. A conviction is a belief that this character holds most dear, that they would never want to break. It would be like never, it might start never, or it might say always. And let's start with Troy. Troy, do you have a thought?
God, no.
This is where it gets hard. This is where the essay questions begin.
Yeah.
I never feed during Lent.
That could be that. I mean, well, that's maybe not a great one.
I would die. I have to feed. I love this idea. So it's kind of, you can build either a boon or a bane for your character based on this conviction. Do they tend to be boon focused,
well,
or?
If you uphold your conviction, I sort of give you bonuses and benefits. But when you break your conviction, you take stains to your humanity. Ooh. This is the most important part of the game, you guys, the humanity tracker. So all of you will start with 7 humanity. You can go ahead and fill that in now if you'd like. Wow. And it'll change a little bit as you choose, as you get into the vampire side of character creation and your vampire life. But when you break your beliefs, stains start to fill up on the other side of your humanity tracker. And when these stains that have come from the right side of your tracker meet the humanity that's coming from the left side, when they crash together, you make some rolls and see if you lose humanity. And this is really the whole game, in my opinion. This is the fun part of the game. This scary, troubling, fucked up, twisted part of the game is that the more someone plays vampire, the more they realize, oh my god, I'm at humanity 4. Oh my god, I'm at humanity 3. I'm just doing the things that a role-playing game character does, and I'm about to become a mindless monster. That was all to let you know sort of how the humanity mechanic works and what convictions kind of tie into, and also to give people time to think about it. So does anybody have an idea of what their conviction might be? This would very much be from your human life, because it is kind of a lifelong sort of really deep held belief.
I think I have something, and again, it may change, but just to get the ball rolling here, my character will never feed on or will always protect veterans.
Great. Beautiful. Go ahead and write that in. There should be a spot for conviction on the sheet there somewhere.
Touchstones and convictions, yeah.
There you go. Yeah, you could just put veterans. Anything that helps you remember it.
Yeah.
What about you, Noura Ibrahim? What do you think? Does she have a conviction?
Yeah, never let anybody see you not camera ready.
Great. Kind of different from Troy's character.
Not different from Troy.
No, not at all.
And weirdly, it really ties into the chronicle tenets I've come up with for this kind of one-shot or this kind of two-parter we're doing. Your conviction, Noura. So we'll get into that in a little while.
Ooh, okay.
How about you, Sydney? Does your character have a conviction?
Yeah, I'm thinking something along the lines of, like, in the casual dating, I will never double dip, meaning I'm not going to feed off of the same person that I hook up with casually more than once.
Always change partners. Never feed off the same person twice. I love that, and that's a smart survival thing for vampires, actually.
I think that's where it comes from.
Yeah, some of them keep like blood dolls that they feed off of constantly. But interesting, your character moves around. I love it.
Yeah, different tastes, you know.
Definitely, everybody's different. You know, even if they're all cannibalistic killers, they have different prefs. And Skid, what do you think? What's his conviction?
I don't know if this will work at all. But I think, because he had a pretty religious upbringing, so I think his conviction, if it works, I could be completely hamstringing myself, but it would be brutally, brutally wound and maim at every and any opportunity, but don't kill.
Wow.
Ooh.
Do not kill. Thou shalt not kill.
Thou shalt not kill.
That's an amazing one. That
cool.
works.
Okay.
Now we get into another part of your human life, your touchstone. Your touchstone is a mortal who's extremely important to you, someone who sort of keeps you connected to the human world. Skid, do you have a thought of who that might be?
Wow. A touchstone. A person, a mortal person. No.
That's okay.
I do not.
That's all right.
No.
We can jump around. I mean, like, character creation is so involved. I'm asking you to create characters in addition to the character you're creating right now. Does anybody have a thought on who their touchstone might be? Yeah, Sydney.
Noura and I are like, actually.
Teacher, I worked on this part of the homework. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me just like rub my nose a little bit. No, I am thinking my touchstone is going to be my intern, Claire, at the gallery that I run.
Beautiful. Okay, your intern, Claire, is super important to you, keeps you linked into the human world. Now I'm finding out a lot about Sydney's character.
She's mostly like into Claire because Claire's literally linked into like social media and she knows about she's a millennial. So I'm just kind of like, okay, tell me like what's going on because I'm not going to spend time trying to figure this out.
That is super important, particularly because your sect, the sect all of your vampires are going to belong to, I kind of decided before we started playing, is the Camarilla. And the Camarilla, because they're so afraid of electronic surveillance and the Inquisition finding them, they don't like technology. They don't like to be on social media. They're actually not allowed. In some domains, in some cities, they can be arrested and punished for it by the other vampires. So you now have this ally, this touchstone, who can help you explore that world without getting in trouble. I think that's really smart. Noura, you had an idea.
Can it be a ghoul?
I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
Because I think that'll be like part of your backgrounds, and that's someone who has a relationship with you who won't connect you into the human world. They will connect you farther into the vampire world, because a ghoul is a servant like Renfield who constantly wants to feed on your blood, but then serve you, is blood bonded to you.
I was thinking similarly as along the lines of a personal assistant. And they are going to be a non-binary personal assistant of mine named Skylar, and it's going to be very obnoxiously spelled S-K-I with, is it an umlaut that has a double I?
A dollar sign.
Yeah. Yeah, S is a dollar sign, K-L-I with an umlaut, L-A-A-R. Skylar.
You can never find them on Instagram. Impossible to look them up.
Listen, they are.
It's untraceable.
They are the epitome of like Gen Z TikToker. They are my into the whatever the hell the kids are doing these days, because fuck if I know.
And it's a good thing that I'm the game master, because I'm really kind of just keyed into all of that, and I'm sort of who you think of when you think young Gen Z culture.
The poster boy.
Skylar, they are at your side. They are ready to help.
Yeah.
They know the skinny on the street, and you can tell by my use of the slang skinny that I don't know what the skinny on the street is.
We're going to force Jared to watch like 1,000 TikToks in one night. He's going to be like, I need to know in case they reference.
Oh my God.
We're talking about driving him insane earlier. I think that might do
They
it.
have saved my life on many occasions. They are my inside into everything that's cool. I would not know what the hell was going on without them.
Beautiful. Skylar is your touchstone, and Troy, do you have an idea of your touchstone?
I do. Only because I had some time to think about it. His name is Father Ichabod Calderon. He was a Jesuit priest that was excommunicated. He's a bit of an alcoholic, but I can confide in him like you would if you were going to confession. And I can tell him things that I can't tell anyone else. And even though he was excommunicated, he's kind of this wacky, out there priest. The reasons for his excommunication may become relevant, maybe not. Maybe I don't even know what they are. But he's the type of guy that I can tell him things that I probably shouldn't be saying outside of, Elysium?
Elysium, well, outside of the vampire world. Oh, I hope you are confessing your vampire deeds to him, because that would be breaking the Masquerade, and that would be a super juicy secret my NPCs could use against you to get you staked and left out in the sun. Skid, did you have any thoughts? If you don't, we can do, as I said, like with the specialty for Noura, and say, oh, we'll think of it later.
No, I actually did think of one.
Okay, great.
So he's a retired Philly cop, also an alcoholic. His name is Patrick McGrath. And very common Irish name. It's all over Philly. And he's a retired cop. He just loves watching the Phillies, just like loves hanging out at the local sports bar every night, and that's where we hang out.
Beautiful. Pat McGrath has entered our world. He's drinking and firing before he looks carefully at what he's firing at. Okay. Here we go. So we have done our touchstones, and now we are going to talk about ambition and desire. Again, these are essay questions, and we're not playing long-term campaign play, or chronicle is what they call it, of course, in the World of Darkness, which means that we can kind of leave this off if you don't have an immediate idea. But basically, an ambition is sort of a long, overarching goal that you have, and desire is sort of an immediate goal. These things restore your willpower, particularly when it is damaged, because in this game you can take damage not just to your health, but to your willpower from social attacks. And there's nothing scarier than a social attack, you guys. So, I ask thee, let's start with poor Troy, who I keep calling on first. Do you think your character has an ambition and desire that is clear to him right now? A long-term goal and a short-term goal?
Yes. In the interest of keeping it cooking, I don't want to overthink it, so I'm going to leave it a little vague and fill in the details later. But I think his ambition is he's looking for a cure or a solution to an as yet undefined problem. Is that an okay ambition?
That's a great ambition. Looking for cure. is there a desire as well, or should we just kind of leave that blank for now and figure out what it is when we start?
Yeah, let's leave that open to see.
I think that's a good idea, because we might get into this scenario and you're like, oh, it's a little different from what I thought, but I know what my character wants to do now, and that would be a great desire. Noura, do you have any thoughts on this?
I agree with the desire thing. I will hold off on that. But for ambition, I will say fuck followers, gain worshippers.
Ooh.
Great. Gain worshippers. I am terrified of Noura's character. Gain worshippers. How about you, Sydney? Do you have a thought on your ambition?
Yeah, ambition-wise, I'm thinking she's really along the lines of she wants to become untouchable in the art world, where she does not have to even lift a finger and things will get done for her. She's sort of like been building herself up, and she's well respected. This is my idea. Well respected in the art community. But she wants to just be so high up where she's like a figurehead and feared.
Become a figurehead in the art world.
Our characters are going to get along so well.
I was going to say, we got to talk. And, do they know each other? Do Claire and Skylar, are they, buddies?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very likely you do, because you guys are formed into a coterie for some reason. Perhaps you just share the same hunting ground, the same, neighborhood of the city where you all find prey. Or perhaps it's something more complex than that. We'll find out in a minute.
Maybe we're in the same clan. Ideas.
That could happen too, and I'm totally fine with people being in the same clan if they choose. Skid, do you have a thought on your ambition?
I do. I think his ambition, and I don't know if this works, but I don't think this is really a conscious ambition, but he wants to destroy himself. He wants to die, and it's not something he's really aware of, or could admit to, if he was aware of it. But he, more than anything, deep down, he wants to not exist anymore.
That's sad and horrifying and tragic. And, I think that's personal and political horror.
Okay.
I think we're set on ambition. And keep those desires blank, but if something comes up during the game and you're like, now my character wants to this, tell me it's your desire, and it can help you heal willpower damage if that comes into the game.
I do have a desire also.
Oh, great. Go ahead.
Ooh. He just wants to beat people up. That's what gives him the biggest joy in life, is beating people up.
That is definitely short term. Beat someone up. Put that there, and he's going to fill that and be able to heal some willpower damage right away, I feel like. I just feel like it's going to happen. Okay. Guys,
I'm going to make a very art world comment right now, but I feel like Sydney and I will have a very Marina Abramovic Kanye West relationship going on right now.
I was going to say the exact same thing. Earlier.
This is earlier. Yes. Oh man. Okay, I'm so into this, and I am going to steer my character in a certain direction.
Who's the Kanye is what I want to know.
I'm the Kanye.
Noura, yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course. I don't know why I asked that. What a dumb question.
I'm going to Google those names.
Yeah. So, we're going to talk about the chronicle tenets, and these are tenets where if you break these, you get stains and you lose humanity. Look, you guys don't even have to write these down. I'll keep track of them. If you'd like to write them down on your sheet, you can. We're going to call our chronicle the chronicle tenets of our chronicle, because the chronicle is going to be called It's Never Sunny in Philadelphia. But the chronicle thank you, Brian Baldinger, for that title. But the chronicle tenets will be the most dangerous game. And these are very important in the game we are going to play, okay? Uphold the Masquerade. Meaning you do not reveal that you are a vampire. You are a Camarilla vampire. You do not let people behind that masquerade. It is so important that if you do it in this game, since it's a short-term game, I am going to stain your humanity. I'm going to make you take a stain to your humanity. But it's the most dangerous game, so I also have destroy the weak / guilty. So if someone is weak or guilty, they don't deserve to be a vampire like you do. In this particular game, the most dangerous game. And then finally, be the dominant predator, never show weakness yourself. That's our third chronicle tenet. And I think it oddly fits all of these characters. I was saying, Noura, your character already has that as a conviction. So that kind of is nice synchronicity. And now we can finally talk about the vampire sides of these characters. So let us start over with Troy again. Troy, you can tell me about your clan and your sire, and then let's pick a predator type for you.
I feel like I have to get into character concept at this point if I'm going to talk clan.
Okay, I think you should. I think you can. I think it's time.
So I had a lot of ideas because I wanted to stay super open, and I can still change it if someone's like, no, I wanted to be a this. But I'm thinking going Malkavian for my clan. Am I saying that right? Maybe it's Malkavian?
Malkavian is perfect.
Malkavian. All right, so this is my concept for this guy, and tell me if this is cool. He was a chaplain in the army during World War II, and that's when he was embraced by someone. I haven't worked out the details of how. Was it an enemy? Was it an ally? I don't know. Was he a German soldier? Was he an American? I haven't figured that out yet. But he was embraced during that. Okay, and now he is a psychoanalyst for a prison where he is has access to some of the worst of humanity, where he is where he gets an opportunity to kind of psychoanalyze them, but also learn about their lives, learn about the people in their lives. And I don't know if he's feeding on the prisoners or if he is going out in life and feeding on the people from the prisoners' lives, whether it be the people that put them away, the people that set them up. Is he a heroic type figure? I don't know. Because Malkavians, from what I understand, are madmen.
Yeah, they're crazy, right?
They are. They have madness in their bloodstream, in their bloodline. Particularly if their clan compulsion or clan bane comes out, they start believing things that aren't true. Their insight leads to madness in some ways. That is a great concept. That kind of leads the question you just asked, though. Is he feeding on the people that wronged these criminals, or is he feeding on the criminals themselves? Has a lot to do with what kind of predator he has.
Right, and this is tricky ground. These predators, you got to really walk a tightrope when you choose your predator type. What page is this on?
So on page 175, and it's kind of over several pages, there's not a clear chart. You can see the different predators, and they actually do a lot of mechanical things to your character, so that's why we have to choose it carefully.
Yeah.
If you are preying on the prisoners themselves, I would characterize you as what is called here a scene queen, but you could call it a scene king if you prefer. And you basically get along really well with a certain subculture. In your case, cons, people who are in prison. And that would give you a specialty in etiquette for that particular kind of group. Like, you know how to handle yourself inside of a prison. You would get leadership in that specific group, a dot of leadership, or streetwise with that specific group. As a specialty. And then you would gain 1 dot of dominate or potence, which are the powers of mind control and supernatural strength. You would gain a fame advantage, like a lot of criminals or people in the criminal underworld in Philadelphia would know who you are. You would gain the contact advantage. A lot of criminals would, be willing to do you like a favor on a favor by favor basis if you scratch their backs. Mm-hmm. And you could gain either the influence flaw disliked outside of your subculture or the feeding flaw prey exclusion. You only like to feed from these prisoners. That's one way to go. If
listening to you talk about this, I think has solved the problem for me. I think he's going to be a consensualist. And he will feed on the prisoners, but he is such a manipulating psychopath. Wow. He is able to, through their psychoanalysts, through their therapist sessions, convince them that this is what they need to fix them.
Like Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah, as if they were broken.
Whoa.
That's really troubling. I love it.
It's quite troubling.
He gets a specialty in medicine. He gets medicine phlebotomy, which means basically, you can set up a rig to give someone a blood transfusion or siphon off their blood. And persuasion victims. So he has to choose one of those. It sounds like persuasion actually for him.
Persuasion victims, yeah.
He'll gain a dot of auspex or fortitude. You perhaps have looked over the powers, Troy, so you can kind of decide which of those. We'll get into the disciplines in a little bit, but he'll get an extra dot on one of those. He'll gain a dot of humanity. He'll be up to humanity 8.
Oh, great! I didn't even notice that.
But he'll gain the dark secret flaw, Masquerade Breacher, which he absolutely is because
Yes, that's
we already
perfect.
established that. And he can gain the feeding flaw, prey exclusion, non-consenting. So he won't feed on people who say, okay, feed on me. I know you're a vampire. Okay, I'll allow it. He's playing a very dangerous game. Let's talk to Noura. Noura, what clan is your character?
I'm thinking Toreador for her.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
And it sounds like Sydney, you were headed toward Toreador too, because I heard you mentioned art. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. I had that in mind.
Are you guys cool with being the same clan?
Yes, let's do it.
Hell yeah.
Okay, great. Toreador. The Toreador. They are the aesthetes of the vampire world. Some people call them the degenerates or the decadents. It's all one big endless party for the Toreador. Noura, what kind of predator did you think that this character has?
Let me think. I would say Osiris.
Great.
I think that she would want the blood of people who are like at her women call, who love her, who adore her.
You are a celebrity among mortals, or else you run a cult, a church, or something similar. You feed from your fans or worshippers, so that works. You're going to add a specialty in occult or performance. Oh, you already had performance.
I'll do occult.
Yeah, do a specialty in occult.
It kind of goes into the backstory.
You can gain 1 dot of blood sorcery, but only if you're Tremere, or you can gain presence, which is a discipline that Toreador have already. So perhaps you'll have a lot of dots in that.
Okay.
Presence. And then you're going to spend 3 dots in your backgrounds right now between fame and herd. Fame and herd. So decide if she's more famous or if she has a bunch of people who are just willing to be used as vessels for her to feed on right now. And backgrounds are basically advantages that deal with your background. They are like people little advantages like that you have. Okay. Now let's go to Sydney. Sydney, what kind of predator do you think you are? It's on pay. Or first of all, let me ask you. You're Toreador. You're Toreador.
Toreador.
Did you have a predator in mind?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do Siren.
Siren. Okay, great. The Siren is a sensual creature. You feed almost exclusively during or while feigning sex, and you rely on your discipline, seduction skills, or the unquenchable appetites of others to conceal your carnivorous nature.
This game is awesome.
Yeah, this game fucking rocks. Also, I think this totally goes along with, I didn't even realize, I didn't read this far ahead, but this totally goes along with my idea of the one night stands, how I'll never feed off the same person. So I think this works out.
Perfect. You can add a specialty in persuasion in the skill of seduction or subterfuge seduction. You gain 1 dot of fortitude or presence. I love fortitude is the vampiric power that makes you more durable. That's a different approach to sex than presence, which is all about seduction and controlling people's emotions. I love that fortitude is one of your choices there.
It's like Klingon sex.
Exactly, yeah. The Pon Far, that's Vulcans. And you gain the looks merit. You get 2 dots of looks. Your character is beautiful.
Oh, wow.
But you gain the enemy flaw, a spurned lover or jealous partner.
Okay, and then question, what does my specialty mean? Like, what does that mean if I choose one or the other?
Great. So you can put it in persuasion or subterfuge, and you'll have kind of seduction just written on that line beside the skill. And anytime you are seducing someone, you will roll an extra die. But if you're just persuading someone, hey, our anarchs are coming, we have to get out of here, you won't get that extra die.
It's got to be situational, specific to
Seducing.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Great. And Skid, what clan are you going with?
I can't remember. Is there an unaffiliated option that's like not the Anarchs or the Sabbat or something? Isn't there one?
There is. Yeah. So if you wanted to be sort of clanless, you would be a caitiff. They're vampires who, for whatever reason, they don't have a specific clan affiliation. Their sire left them in the lurch, didn't tell them, who they are or what they are. And they don't have any kind of aptitude for the various clan disciplines. They kind of freeform it in how they develop their powers. Is that something you're interested in?
Yes, I will pick that because it fits my concept, and it happens to be my brother-in-law's last name.
Really? Caitiff?
Caitiff, yeah.
That's true.
Have you ever seen him during the day?
Never. So now I'm suspicious.
I'm just saying. Okay, so as a caitiff, what kind of predator type, how does our bruiser feed?
Well, as you know, all caitiffs are alley cats.
Yep.
In my experience,
Okay.
so I think he's an alley cat.
That's absolutely true. So he can add a specialty to intimidation, stick-ups, or brawl, grappling. He gains a dot of celerity, which is vampiric speed. You put that in your disciplines. Or potence, vampiric supernatural strength. You lose a dot of humanity. Skid, your character starts at a humanity of 6.
Yeah.
And then in your backgrounds, please write that you have criminal contacts, 3 dots of criminal contacts. People that stick people up, beat them up and mug them and those kind of awful things.
Maybe I feed on him in the jail.
Yeah.
Could be some crossover.
Yeah.
Skid puts them in jail and you eat them.
You eat them.
That's right. It's a circle of life. So I have some questions, Jared, just before
Please.
we move on to the next thing.
Ask questions.
So as consensualist, I add a specialty, medicine, phlebotomy, or persuasion victims. I already have pips in both. So do I just, I have 4 pips in persuasion. Do I add a 5th and make that victims?
It says just to add the specialty, so I believe that you just add the specialty, but I'll do everybody a favor. If you don't already have the skill, I'm going to give you a free dot in it, and the specialty. It's 1 dot. It's not going to break the game.
Thank you, Jared.
Thank you. Wow.
Hey, I'm just a really nice guy, which is
way
great
nicer than other GMs I've played with.
How dare you, sir?
Yeah, on the
There are
network. Other GMs on the network, I would say.
It's really uncalled for.
Certain GMs, they like to really throw their dick around and feel powerful, but I'm just not that kind of guy.
Guys, Grant can hear you.
There's a reason I haven't hosted yet, and it's all that dick throwing. I'm just throwing like a boomerang.
As with every time I've ever played character creation, I can feel it stretching out into infinity here. But look, we're going to now do backgrounds. You get some backgrounds right now. And I'm going to tell you how many you get. Backgrounds, like I said, are things like allies, contacts. So allies are staunch friends who will do anything for you. Contacts are very useful people who will do you favors if you do them a favor occasionally. There's also, there's so many. Fame, influence, that's with certain groups. You can kind of get groups to do something. Haven, herd. There are lore sheets in this game. There's a mask, which is like a fake identity. There's resources, which is just your money. Retainers. Noura, you mentioned you wanted a ghoul. And status. These are all these sort of social kind of advantages that you can draw on. They start on page 184, and I'm going to tell you how many you're going to take in all of them.
Wow.
And it's a lot, and I'd kind of like to speed through that part and allow you a little bit if you want to later go, hey, can I suddenly say I have a contact? And I'll go, yeah, write it in. And we'll just keep track and make sure you're not going over, where you're supposed to end up with the backgrounds. Let's see. Backgrounds.
Kind of like a Blades in the Dark flashback. It's like, I have a friend.
Yeah, exactly. I find it's kind of fun to play that way, and it actually works out really well. Okay, so you're going to take 7 dots worth of these backgrounds, and you can take up to 2 flaws, meaning like bad versions of it. So, for example, instead of an ally, maybe you want an enemy. You could take like a 2-dot enemy that shows up occasionally and messes with your unlife.
That bitch Rita Hayworth. No, it's not. That's not.
She's still alive.
Not happening in this
She
game.
could still be alive in the setting.
Different game.
So does anybody want to tell me a little bit about their backgrounds or ask any questions about them? Because I would kind of like to get into the powers before we've hit 2.5 hours here.
Can they be other vampires?
They certainly can, especially an ally.
I'm thinking maybe the warden of the prison is a kindred as well, and that's why I'm able to operate here.
Ooh, okay. That sounds like a pretty powerful ally, so I would spend, quite a few dots on that.
Yeah, how about 4 dots?
Yeah, that feels right.
I like that. And it's less guys I have to worry about.
What about you, Noura? Are you taking a ghoul and some more fame?
I don't know if I want to do a ghoul if I've got my personal assistant. I'd like to have a little in fame. What was the one where you have other people in your with her? Can I say how she was sired?
You
now,
absolutely may. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, you are a vampire now. Tell me the concept. Absolutely.
So the concept was, in the 1920s, she was born in 1920. Very upscale socialite. Family was involved in some esoteric cult. The high priestess of that cult was actually a kindred, unbeknownst to everybody else, but sired her myself. And so if there's anybody who's a kindred within that specific cult that's still around.
Yeah, and that's that's your sire? Is that what you were saying?
That's what I was saying was my sire.
Yeah, why don't you take Mala, which is a very strange word but it basically means a mentor or like organization that'll really help you out. MAWLA, and make that as high as you want, depending on how powerful you think the cult is. And I love a 1920s cult too. That's very Amy Semple McPherson kind of a vibe. If people know that reference. That's a really cool idea.
So I'll probably take most of the dots in that, and then maybe throw a couple in fame and retainer.
Great. And what are you thinking, Sid?
Yeah, I think I'm also gonna do 3 in fame, just because in a different way. It's not fame where I'm like a celebrity, but it's fame where I'm well respected, and like look up to, but I'm not a celebrity. Nobody's like taking my picture. There's no paparazzi. But if I show up at a New York Fashion Week show, people are going to be like, oh, wow, I want to sit next to her. She's like really big in the art world.
Great.
And then I'm also going to put 3 into my lawyer, because I'd like to have a lawyer in case there is anything that I get into politically, financially, where I need someone to rely on.
Great. Is your lawyer maybe a contact, like a powerful contact?
Yeah, and I don't know if... does it make sense then to make them a vampire?
I think that if they're a vampire, they are probably more of an ally, or they are like a vampiric law firm in general that would make them kind of like a Mala, MAWLA. Even your sire could even be some sort of like, control a law firm, and you have become an artist, and perhaps that pleases your sire, the kindred that embraced you, or perhaps they're disappointed that you didn't follow in their footsteps. That's up to you.
Okay, I'll think on that. I'll think on making them either a contact or maybe my sire. I'm not sure who my sire is. I gotta figure that out.
Hey, what's the difference between a lawyer and a vampire?
What?
They both suck you dry. What? Wait, what?
There's no difference.
Oh, okay.
That's the joke.
It's good. It's good, everybody.
I would just say, Sid. It also sounds like it sounds like she maybe has some influence in the art world, meaning that she can release a statement and people kind of follow what she says, or she can start an argument. She can get people to do what she wants in that world. I would think about taking some influence in that world.
Yeah, and then just as a side question, I digress, but does age have an influence on anything character related? Like, I know they're vampires, so like they are older than they are, but like the age they appear.
Yeah, so what it doesn't really, because I'm going to give you 15 extra XP for being neonates, which means 1940 or after, right? You were embraced. But you can, with those XP I'm about to give you, spend it on blood potency. And blood potency will make you your blood is of a stronger kind of pedigree. Your blood is closer to the original progenitor of vampires. So when you do something called a blood surge, which means you surge your blood to make yourself stronger, to increase your attributes, you get more dice. Like, for example, a character with blood potency 2, I believe, gets like 3 extra dice added to a strength roll or a dexterity roll, or you can even use it for manipulation or intelligence, things like that. Whereas a character that's just a blood potency of 1 only gets 2 dice. And so that is something you could spend your XP on when we come to that stage in just a minute. Skid, did you have any thoughts on your background? Do you think you have those sorted?
Yeah, I think I have 2 contacts. One is the son of my touchstone, Pat McGrath. It's his son, Mike McGrath, who is a Philadelphia police lieutenant. And so he can get me sort of information about anything going on that end. And then the other is local Philadelphia mall boss, Paul D'Elia.
Paul D'Elia.
Yes, that's two contacts that I put 3 points in each, and then I don't know what else.
That's good for now, and then normally we could sit and we could figure it out, but I think that I think you're in a good space, and like I said, you can add them during the game. Let's just answer this last question, and then we're almost ready to kind of jump in for a little bit. And the last question is your disciplines. What vampiric powers do you bring to bear? Your predator type already made some of that decision for you, but now we're going to find out where you've kind of focused your powers. And of course, there are so many different powers. There's Dominate, which allows you to have the mesmerism, the hypnotism of vampires. There's Potence, which gives you supernatural strength, allowing you to do incredible damage with just your fists. There is Celerity, vampiric speed. Tremere characters have blood sorcery. Nobody chose that particular clan. Auspex, which allows you to kind of see things that other people can't see. Heightened senses. You can see ghosts, or you can see people's auras. Let's start with Skid. Do you know what your other disciplines are? You're a cative, so you can choose literally any disciplines you want. You get to choose 2 disciplines. You put 2 dots in one of them and 1 dot in the other.
Okay, so I had Potence already, right, with 1 dot in it?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Mm-hmm. Can I pick it again and put more dots in it, or do I have to pick something new?
I am going to say you absolutely can, and
Okay.
you can put 2 dots in it and bring it up to 3 if you'd like, and then you'll have 1 dot left for another discipline.
Okay, and then I'm gonna do that. I had Celerity also, and I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna add another point to that.
Okay, I think now I'm gonna be like a Troy and be bad boss. I think that your predator let you choose to put that dot into Potence or Celerity. I don't think it let you do both.
Oh, okay.
So
then I will just I'll pick Celerity now, and I'll put 2 points in it. Or 1 point. 1 point?
1 point into that, so you'd have like 2 in Celerity and 2 in Potence if you did it that way. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because you get
just 1 point in Celerity, 2 points in Potence. So I have 3 total in Potence and 1 in Celerity, right?
That makes sense. That's perfect. Yep, that works. Sydney, where are you going to go with your character's discipline powers?
Okay, remind me what page that's on.
Yeah, I shouldn't I? Let's see here. They start on page 243. It goes over several pages. But I can kind of sum them up for you, I think, if you give me a moment.
Is there one that's already part of the clan that I chose, or is that something different?
Yes. Very important to note that Toreador get 3 disciplines that are their clan disciplines. So unlike Skid, who's a caitiff who sort of like learned his disciplines on his own, your bloodline has presence, which is sort of emotional control, making people fall in love with you. Your clan has celerity, which is something that Skid took. It's vampiric supernatural speed. And your character has aspects. That is the power of seeing beyond into the supernatural realm, heightened senses, being able to see ghosts and the invisible, things like that.
Okay, and how many do I get to pick? Sorry.
You're going to put 2 dots in one of them and 1 dot in another.
Okay,
and your predator already gave you a dot. What did you put that in to?
I put that into
your
presence.
Presence. Okay, so you already have, this level of presence, which gives you a power called awe, which means anytime you walk into the room, without even like spending any of your blood, you can just make everybody like suddenly look at you and be kind of fascinated with you, and you'll get extra dice to any social role you make in that situation. So you have 2 dots in one and 1 dot in another that you can spend right now. What are you thinking?
Okay, so I'm going to put 1 dot into my presence since I already have a dot in it. Bump that up to 2, and then 2 in celerity and 2 in auspics, because I think that is so cool to see ghosts.
Yes, great. Okay. Just run them down for me again. I want to make sure we have them. It's how many in auspics?
Auspics is 2. Mm-hmm. Celerity is 2, and then presence adds up to 2 now that I've added my single dot to it.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, great. Perfect. And now let's talk to Noura. Noura, this socialite, this religious figure, she's also Toreador, so she can choose from the same powers. What did her predator give her?
I also got 1 in presence.
Okay, great.
So
what are you thinking?
I think I'm also going to do the 2, 2, and 2.
Okay, great. Your characters get along very well. And woe betide if you both walk into a room at the same time.
You know what? We call each other to coordinate our outfits so that we don't end up dressing in the same thing.
You wear the blue jogging suit, I'll wear the red.
Yeah, maybe we do like a yin-yang. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we match, but we don't, we're not exactly the same.
Yeah, obviously we're not going to wear the same thing. We're really cool and good looking, apparently.
Who would do that?
Very good. And Troy, Malkavian. Malkavians receive auspics, obfuscate, and dominate, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
And so you're restricted to those 3 at character creation?
Let me make sure. Choose 2 of your clan disciplines. Put 2 dots in one and 1 dot in the other. For caitiff, choose any 2 disciplines. So yes, you are restricted to your clan disciplines. Sometimes you can get kind of an odd discipline that's outside of your clan in the way you choose your predator. What did your predator give you? It gave you 1 dot in something.
Yeah, and I took auspics for that.
Okay.
So that adds 1 point to your wits and reveals the aura. Is that a permanent 1 point to your wits, or that's only when you use the discipline?
Are you talking about the first level power in auspics, the heightened senses?
Yeah,
it's only when you use the power, so you can kind of turn it on and off. And different storytellers will narrate it differently, but I think heightened senses means heightened senses. So if there's something hard to spot, or suddenly the sensory world lights up for you, you become like a dog or an animal that can sense things others can't.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go, then I'll add dominate and put 2 dots in it. And then I guess then I would just have to put the other dot in auspic, so I'd have 2 and 2. I can't add a dot in obfuscate, right?
You could. Yeah, you could. You could take 1 dot in obfuscate.
I'll do that then. So I had the 1 from in auspics for my predator type. I'll put 2 in dominate, and then I'll add obfuscate and put 1 in there.
Beautiful.
Oh, I can see this guy very clearly. I think he was an Italian. I think he was a chaplain for Italy during World War II.
Oh, wow.
And he, XYZ happened, and he fell in love with a French nun who was a vampire. And they had this love affair that crossed, sort of the two powers that were fighting each other, as well as like religion. It was this really complicated situation.
Yeah.
And she was his sire.
It's a farewell to arms, but with vampires.
Exactly.
Yeah. A farewell to
Humanity.
Yeah, to humanity. Okay, so now what I'd like to do is briefly talk about who is this group? Like, who are you as a group? Why do you work together? Why are you a coterie? You're neonates, so you've been established. We do need to spend. You do need to spend 15 XP. Actually, let's bring up that XP chart. But while we're spending that XP, that's on page 151, please, Mr. Grant. It'll show us like what the XP costs. You're gonna have 15 for being neonates, and you can spend them on these things. But while we're talking about that, we should also talk about who the group is while you're spending these things. And keep in mind, you can also save XP if you choose. Like if you're like, I want another level of blood potency, but I don't want anything else, so I'll just spend 10 XP and save 5. That's fine if you'd like. So we're looking at those XP buys there. Maybe there was a skill you didn't get quite enough of that you wanted more of. Maybe I told you couldn't have a discipline dot. Well, now you can rectify that.
And am I correct in saying, so I've got a 2 wits, right? If I wanted to make that a 3 wits, it's 3 times 5. That would be my whole 15?
You got it. So that's exactly right. So if it says new level times whatever, for example, increasing a skill is new level times 3. So if you had a 1 in athletics and you wanted to make it a 2 in athletics with your XP, your 15 XP, you'd be spending 6 of those XP to get that up to a 2 in athletics.
Huh.
New specialties are really cheap. They only cost 3 XP. A clan discipline only costs you the new level times 5. A lot of you have at least level 2 in things, so you're spending all 15 XP to get the 3rd dot in something. But that's totally legal. You can do that right now. Catifs, because you are not restricted at all, it's new level times 6.
Ooh.
Yeah, so you could take the first dot in a power for 6 XP, or the second, but that's all you could do, because then after that, you would only have, 9 left, which is not enough to get a level 2 in something.
Okay. I just gave myself a 3rd point in awareness. I spent all my XP on that.
Okay. Great.
Okay. This is very, very cool. I think what I'll do is go academics, psychology. Instead, I'll put 3 pips. I'll go up to 4. That'll be 12 points, and that leaves me with 3, which I think I can just spend on a new specialty or making a skill, putting 1 dot in a skill that I don't have any dots.
Something.
Yeah, I'd have to look at them. So I'll do one of those 2 things. But yeah, I want him to be like a true. He went from the path of religion to the path of psychology.
That makes sense, especially like as the 20th century wore on. That's sort of how the whole paradigm shifted, and he shifted with it. I love it. Sydney, do you have any thoughts on these buys here? This can kind of represent the time you've spent as a vampire, like the many years that have gone by, in your vampire state.
Yeah, I'm going to do something weird that I don't normally do in my character
Noura,
creation.
do you have anything you want to ask or any thoughts on your XP buys here?
I'm still thinking about it, whether I want to like up the things that I already have, or if I want to like add dominate into the mix.
Yeah, I would say
nice.
I'd say both are great. And I would say that, I think it's okay to have a high level in something because we're playing neonates. We're not playing new vampires. That's kind of one of the little benefits you get of playing a character that's a little farther along in the timeline in their immortality. So while people are thinking about that, can we have a discussion about why the group has formed?
I mean, isn't it obvious? These 4?
It's a cosmopolitan.
Why is peanut butter and jelly sandwich? It's like, why do they go? It's just like go together so perfectly.
Yeah.
It's just natural.
it can be the worst discussion in any role playing game. I'll be honest, and we don't need to hem and haw over it too long. But there are coterie types on page 197. Maybe that gives us an idea, or maybe we freeform it and we find out as we play. What kind of coterie they are.
We are all members of the AAA Phillies team.
The Reading Phillies.
The Vampire Squad, the Philly Vampire Squad.
That's how we met.
For example, you could be a coterie whose job is to protect or guard an important location. That doesn't really sound like you. You could be champions, people who all believe in a certain cause. You could be a hunting party. You capture humans with particular blood types and flavors for others. You could just be a social coterie. You just all happen to be friends, and that's why you hang out.
We run in the same circles. Yeah.
He shakes his head, and I'm offended.
No, it's just like, I don't know, why would you want to hang out with me socially? I think like my guy was hired or assigned to this group for some reason.
You don't think some high-powered people wouldn't want some strong muscle in their group?
Of course, no, yeah, but you just wouldn't want to hang out with me. It's like, oh, let's go dancing, let's go to the club. Like,
I definitely know why Noura's character and Sydney's character are together. They're the same clan. They have such similar kind of predilections. If I'm pronouncing that correctly,
they're the peanut butter and jelly in the sandwich.
They are the peanut butter and jelly, and I know why
onions.
I know why the onions have been added in order to protect them and make sure that they can do their job.
Right.
But
Stay away from the sandwich because it's gross.
I'm wondering what Father Mind Games is doing as part of this little group.
You mean Dr. Malcolm Webster?
Oh. That's what I mean. That's right.
He's played by a young Terrence Stamp, by the way.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So look at like early Terrence Stamp, 30-year-old Terrence Stamp. Maybe it's I'm looking at Regency. Like the Camarilla created the coterie to guard their legacy, and we're just like a special forces team where no one really knows why they're involved.
I have an awesome idea for that, so I'm going to throw this out to the coterie, to our group here, and see if you're okay with this. The Prince of Philadelphia recently disappeared.
The Fresh Prince of Philadelphia?
Not the Fresh Prince. He
got in one little fight, and his mom got scared, and then he never seen him.
I walked right into that. Do you guys want to sing the whole song?
I'll show myself out.
Some say that the prince has gone off into the Middle East as part of the Gehenna War, that the prince heard the beckoning. Some say that he's living with his auntie in Bel Air, his uncle and auntie in Bel Air.
I'd be wrong.
But
mere rumor.
There was an interim government established. The vampires have a very almost feudal government with a prince at the top in the Camarilla, who rules over a primogen council. The elders or leaders of all the clans sort of talk to them like a board. And then below them there is a sheriff with hounds that sort of enforce the masquerade. And people are given fiefdoms. They're given hunting ground sections of the city where they are allowed to feed and hunt humans. I think that perhaps your characters, even though you're neonates, one cool thing that Vampire 5th edition brings in is that everything isn't so stratified that the elders are always in charge. That like vampires from the Middle Ages and like ancient Greece aren't running everything. Many of them have to go into long periods of slumber. Some of them hear this beckoning now and head off to the Middle East to fight this strange mystery war called the Gehenna War. And so often the neonates and their immediate superiors, the ancillae, are sort of taking over things. And so I think that I'm gonna, you know what? I've decided, unless anybody wants to make a stink or disagree, which you're perfectly welcome to. This will be a Regency coterie. You were sort of nominally running things when the prince disappeared. The prince was named Carlisle. He recently just disappeared. There doesn't appear to have been any foul play. People think that there he is. Wow, beautiful. So beautiful.
Wow. I've never seen a young Terrence Stamp like that. That's
Oh,
crazy.
yeah, so I was just shared in the chat.
Outside of Superman too.
A young Terrence Stamp.
He's a beautiful man. Would other people like to mention actors that they would like to cast as their characters? I've been told personally, as a storyteller and as a person, one time someone came up to me after a comedy show and said, "You remind me of a cross between James Gandolfini and Philip Seymour Hoffman." And I was like, "That's just too heavy, guys. You're just mentioning heavy people." I want to. Is everybody okay with that? You guys were kind of running Elysium a little bit when the prince disappeared. Does that work for you guys?
Oh,
Yeah.
That's
Great. So if people feel like they have their dots where they need them, and by the way, you can right now go, wait. Can I still spend this, or can we talk about this? Because if people feel like they're getting close to where we can start, I can kind of start us down the road into this scenario I have prepped for you.
I think I'm good. I'm ready to go.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, this is
Everybody's ready. Well, then let's play some Vampire the Masquerade. Coronation Night. You are at the Blue Horizon Boxing Arena in Philadelphia. This is a beautiful boxing auditorium that has stood in Philadelphia since the 1920s. In the 60s, it saw incredible fights, and it's old-fashioned. The seats in the auditorium are made of wood. They look like seats in like an old gymnasium, like at your elementary school or something like that. But the venue itself is beautiful because it catered to, the top celebrities of the era of the mid 20th century. All kinds of actors would come here. Presidents would come here to view boxing matches, and it is currently the setting of Philadelphia's Elysium, because the year is 2020. The month is November. You have all come here on a wet and snowy night for the coronation of the new prince, a female Ventru named Domina Hu. Domina Hu, H-U. Domina has been placed in the position of prince by the Camarilla. The Camarilla saw that there was a vacancy here, and instead of rewarding one of the former Prince Carlisle's children, instead of rewarding vampires who had toiled long years in the city, feeding from the very blood of this city, instead of raising one of them up to prince, the Camarilla has decided to punish the vampires here. Perhaps some would say punish, others would say take things well in hand by placing one of their young jet-setting generals in charge of this city to kind of whip this city into shape. They feel like the Masquerade has been breached here one too many times lately. And so you come to this boxing arena on a wet and snowy night, and it's beautiful. Perhaps I would ask your characters, because we established you've kind of been running the city in the former prince's absence. You've kind of, and I don't know that you were like the top person in charge. You're just neonates. But you were kind of dealing with the day-to-day problems that come with running a city full of vampires. And now you may be displaced. You may no longer have that role. Because you don't know who the new leader is or how she's going to behave. Tell me kind of how you approach Elysium, if you would have had a hand in the preparations tonight. And I can tell you some of the wonderful activities that are planned for this celebration, this coronation night.
I can picture it. I can picture this.
Well, I
let me
definitely
set a
was
little
not
bit-
involved in any planning, but I sure know how to show up.
Okay, so let's talk about what is your character's name, Noura?
My character's name is Valeska. I don't have a last name yet.
That's okay.
I will have one next episode.
Sure. We literally just created her. So, Valeska, how does she enter the venue?
Valeska has an entourage. They may not be, it was arranged by her personal assistant, Skylar, to have only her top fans and let's say worshippers in her circle to show up. Those who have been so, it was an honor for them to be chosen for this. So they are very excited to be a part of my elite group.
And is she sort of and I'm assuming, so be sure to tweak it if I'm getting it wrong, a spiritual influencer kind of now? Like, is there sort of an Instagram with a lot of like spiritual thoughts or?
Yeah, she's sort of famous for being famous. Like nobody really knows how or when or why, but she kind of has always been present in social media. And she is very much a guru in let's say like if you wanted to take Gwyneth Paltrow and Goop to like a whole new level of BS, like
oh no, I don't think I can imagine it though.
I can. She's like telling people like to body modify themselves so they can open their chakras.
Listen.
Right, that's what she's doing. So how would you go past that?
I have very high-end products for whatever thing you need in your spiritual elevation. But yes, she's kind of like if Oprah and Gwyneth Paltrow and Goop like rose up to cult status.
Again,
beautiful. That's redundant. I love it, and I think you enter with your entourage. So there are so many people. There's like someone who, there's someone who like records everything that you kind of say in like notebooks, because of course the Camarilla are very anti-technology. Technology is how the Second Inquisition found them. Technology is what led to the fall of London. Vampires blogging and emailing and talking about the Camarilla's secrets, and so someone is there recording everything you say in like a notepad, like very quickly. And Valeska's entire entourage is very androgynous, and their hair and the way they've modified their bodies is very extreme. A lot of mixed religious iconography. One is just wearing a big golden Buddha statue around,
but make it fashion.
Their neck.
Yes.
Yes.
A couture.
And Valeska, as you enter this venue, there has been, once you get inside, a red carpet laid out for you, as is appropriate. And you can see that there are a couple places that you can go here in the Blue Horizon boxing venue. Ahead of you, you hear the lights and you can hear cheers. But there's something sort of creepy and foreboding about the cheers and the bloodthirsty cries out in the auditorium, because of course this 1,300-seat venue is currently populated only by the Camarilla vampires of Philadelphia, of which there are not more than, say, 25. And so you can hear something going on out in the auditorium, but you don't hear the roar of an enormous crowd. You hear just like scattered, like, yeah, kill him, and like, ha! Fuck him up, Joe! But you don't hear like a huge roaring crowd. Lights are going in there. That's one of the places that you can go.
Little upset that there's no roaring crowd.
I know. It's a lonely existence, the existence of the kindred. The ballroom is to your left. In the ballroom, the invitation said that it would have a spectacular new art project from one of the city's toreador. And you can see that there are strange lights in the ballroom that are sort of indicating some sort of installation. You could go and investigate that. You know that upstairs there is a fraternal lodge, and that lodge was home to the Royal Order of the Moose for many years, but is now abandoned and is used by the kindred as offices to administer to the city. You're familiar with the lodge as well. And then of course there is a bar off of the lodge where, this being Elysium, you can find a cocktail that is specifically tailored to your elite tastes.
So as I give my royal wave to whatever crowd is there, I will go.
A bunch of assorted ghouls and like and blood dolls who kind of stare at you, kind of like in awe, a little hungrily.
I choose one to just kind of lay my hand on their forehead.
Ooh.
And just give a smile and walk away.
This is a Toreador ghoul, and he sniffs really heavily when your hand touches his head, and then he acts like he's been hit by the spirit, and he falls to the ground.
I'll wipe my hand on my assistant on their shoulder.
Yes.
And make my way towards the bar before, of course, paying respects to the Toreador's art, my fellow Toreador's art exhibit.
There is another member of your coterie inside the art exhibit, and guess who it is. Sydney, what is your character's name?
You enter the art exhibit and you see Petra Nyeshny. Who is standing in there and sort of looking at how they set up the installation and is fucking pissed because they fucked it up. They just didn't do it right. And I'm in like a flowing white like muumuu with these like chunky kind of sandals. My hair is bleached absolutely white. Maybe it's natural and it's at an asymmetrical bob. She's like super art world. She has on these tiny little glasses that are like red slits. And she's just standing there like so stoically looking around the room. And you can't tell if she is enthused with the art, upset at the art. You can't even tell if she's focused on the art. And she turns around and she goes, okay.
Petra, let me just ask one thing. The art installation here, can you just describe it a little bit? Like what this? I am assuming Petra created this.
Yeah, Petra created this. It's a bunch of stuffed fake bodies that's stuffed with animal insides that are all hanging and suspended from the ceiling in like grotesque sexual acts.
Oh my God.
And it's all, it's not like human centipede gross, but it's just like these grotesque forms that are human-esque and humanoid with these innards of like cow and pig and other things kind of spilling out and trailing around the room. And it's one of those exhibits where you can walk through it, but like don't touch. It's like broken glasses on the floor, but that's part of it. It's chaotic. It's absolutely chaotic. And it's not formal for this event, but they let her do it, so...
Well, that description is so amazing that I got to tell you that it is a hit, even though we don't know if Petra likes it or hates it or she seems upset by it. But I mean, a lot of the kindred are ignoring the boxing match going on in the auditorium to kind of look at this awful, terrifying thing you've created. And they're crunching the glass and messing it up. The Philistines, they don't get it. And so you two may converse and move on. It sounded like you were just kind of paying your respects to the installation before moving on, Noura?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, but I will say, Petra, I'm so proud of you. And as I grab a pair of very avant-garde opera glasses and I snap my fingers and two of my... entourage kind of grab me by the shoulders and kind of lift me up maybe like a foot off the ground and just rotate me around the room.
Oh, wow.
And as I'm lowered back down, I'll just say, I am just so inspired.
Yeah, kiss, let's get drink, no?
Yes, let's get drink. Take her by the arm. And I just kind of like clear the way as the entourage clears the crowd for us.
Oh, I love this friend I have.
Yes, and as you are heading so the bar is off of the fraternal order or the lodge that's attached to the boxing venue, and as you head into the lodge area, you see that preparations are being made for the coronation ceremony to take place here in the lodge's sacred space. And so you actually see members of Clan Tremere, the maguses or the warlocks of the vampire world, and they are they've got like weird like kind of staves and wands that they're carrying in to this like kind of gilded room, like an orb with like a cross at the top of it. They're carrying this in, and ostensibly the coronation is about to begin in there. But ahead of you is perhaps what you're more interested in. The bar, where members of the Red Goblet Society have promised that they will provide some exquisite vintage of dyscrasia tonight. And so, what is your pleasure? Do you want to head on to the bar as you said before?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Heading into the bar, there is another member of your coterie there. Who would be sipping some fine blood? Would it be our Malkavian or our Caitiff?
I feel like Dr. Malcolm Webster went straight to the bar.
Yes. Okay.
So yeah, young Terrence Stamp. He's impeccably dressed, but his suit it's not super expensive. He just looks good. No tie, collar open. Thank you, Skid. That is it. That is exactly what he looks like.
Amazing.
So brooding.
And he's beautiful, but there's just a million things going on behind those eyes. And yeah,
Petra
so he's
and
ordered.
Valeska. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say he ordered a very expensive scotch that he's mixed with blood.
Oh, I hate to no butt you, Malcolm Webster.
Is that
but there is
frowned
no
upon?
scotch being served at
only
Elysium.
blood.
No, and in fact, as a 12th or 13th generation vampire, the scotch would make you retch and shake as you vomited it up.
Really?
No, instead, a member of the Red Goblet Society, and you can tell me how Malcolm Webster feels about the Red Goblets. The Red Goblets are in some ways in charge of feeding the vampire population of the Camarilla in Philadelphia. And in some ways, this is a humanitarian mission, and in other ways, it's sort of a very elite club that only certain people are given a pass to. And they offer you the vintages that they are serving tonight. They bring forward a very obese slave, an enormous man who's got just a huge shaking belly and like a big, thick rolls of weight on his neck. And they say, we're calling this one comfort food. It feels, if you remember from life, like a cheeseburger and fries, meatloaf at mom's house, or a big old pot of Kraft macaroni and cheese.
And he's just like, no. What else do you
Right?
have?
Yes.
Something more refined.
Yes. Perhaps you're this kind of drinker. And they pull forward a very old woman. She is clothed. She kind of doesn't quite seem to know where she's at. She also has sort of a collar around her neck, and they're like, wait till you taste this one. There are hints of nostalgia, the melancholy, when it drifts over you. The places and people we've lost, that is the taste here.
Yes, she'll do fine. He turns.
Very good. They just turn a knob on like an IV that's already hooked into her, and they start filling a cup from this old woman who is just
insane.
literally going like, Edward? And they're like, no talking. And that is
bordering on
Petra-
evil.
It's bordering on monstrous. That is when Petra and Valeska come sailing in to the bar. You all know each other. You've been working together for a little while.
He raises a glass.
Malcolm, enjoying the night's festivities.
Yes, so far. We are missing one, though.
Duh.
There's only one place he could possibly be. Knowing his tastes, his interests, in the auditorium, 2 Nosferatu ghouls are engaged in a manly bout of classic Philadelphia fisticuffs. Grant, could we see one of the fighters? This is Sonny. Sonny is in his corner. His regnant, the vampire that actually feeds him and trains him and uses him, is kind of like, actually, instead of a water bottle, his regnant's like, here. He like licks up some of the blood really quickly, and then Sonny goes in swinging. There he is. Yeah.
Oh my god.
There he is.
The Nosferatu tend to pass on some of their traits to their ghouls. Their appearance, for example. He and another Nosferatu are using their potence, their supernatural strength in this boxing match. And so as you watch, what is your character's name, Skid?
I should probably get into who he is, where he came from a little bit here.
You should, and you can. Go for it.
Okay. So he was a baseball player around the turn of the century. Is named Charles Big Badger Kinsale. And he was widely regarded as not only one of the top pitchers / first baseman, but also the absolutely the dirtiest player in the Federal League. He played for the Brooklyn Tip Tops, drank his way out of baseball, and around 1940, he was turned by a baseball Annie who claimed to recognize him, but never said who she was or where she was from. So he's got this big barrel chest. He looks like an old, like, circus strongman. He's got a gigantic, bushy, ridiculous handlebar mustache. And he's wearing a big, like, thick cable knit sweater and, like, a cap. And he's got a cigar hanging out of his mouth. And he's, like, pounding the mat. He's just like, hit him, you bastard! Stop dancing around him and hit him! Uppercut! Uppercut! Come on!
And that's when one of the Nosferatu connects with an uppercut that takes part of the other ghoul's jaw off. And now its jaw is kind of hanging and flapping, but it's still boxing. And the crowd, such as it is, there's only a smattering of vampires in this huge venue, goes wild. And you're even afraid, maybe you're keeping an eye out, you're afraid some of them might just like frenzy. They're getting so into the match, like... acting like animals. And so now, we only have a little time left in tonight's introduction to our scenario. But I want to give our characters free reign to consult with each other, or maybe conduct one activity they would do before the coronation has occurred, before the new prince is introduced to Philadelphia, to all of its vampires. You have time to do one thing, and let me know what you would like to do. And let's start with our good friend, Charles. Charles, the Big Badger Kinsale. The match is sort of ending. They're kind of trying to like get the ghoul, like push him together, the one that lost, because they think they can pour some blood on him and he'll heal up. So they're kind of like literally scraping him off the mat. And they're cleaning the ring to get ready for a presentation by the new prince. They're actually bringing down a big screen that she's going to use for some sort of audio-visual component. Is there anything you'd like to do? And I think we can assume also the rest of your coterie enters and finds you. So Malcolm Webster, Petra, and Valeska have all entered, perhaps getting ready for this presentation. Take it away, players.
So Charles, like when the minute the fight is over, he's just like, ah! And he's just like, he's so pumped. He takes a flask from his pocket and takes a giant swig of celebratory Irish whiskey and immediately vomits everything. And then he turns to the nearest ghoul and just punches him across the face. He's like, ah, that feels like the old days.
I've never met a vampire that liked to purge food. That's amazing. And yes, now other kindred are gathering. There's about 25 vampires in Philadelphia. Only that many, but of course, much like our friend Valeska, they all have entourages, right? They all have retainers and mortal slaves and things that they bring in their wake. And so people are beginning to gather, but as I said, you all have time if you'd like to talk to people, conduct something, talk to each other. It's up to you.
I think Petra kind of wants to weave her way through the crowd and not talk to anyone in particular. If people come up to her, she makes casual conversation. But I think she's really trying to tune in and hear if people are genuinely excited about the new print, like how people feel about the political climate of everything at the current moment.
Great. Why don't we have her roll?
That's crazy.
No, I think that
I won't.
we can. No, I'm going to insist. That definitely sounds like a wit or intelligence. I often let the player sort of say what they would like to roll. You could make an argument for composure here, and then add a skill to whatever attribute you've chosen. So what do you think?
I mean, can I use composure? Can I say that with her poker face? Okay, and then
people don't really they kind of let you listen, right? Like you're such a neutral body moving through the crowd that they feel free around you to speak. And what are you adding to that?
Sorry, what can I add? I can add.
I might add. Do you have any insight? I believe that's
do.
one of the skills.
Yeah,
insight
I've got a point and specialty.
Insight would make a lot of sense here. You're trying to kind of get the vibe of the room. And here's what I'm going to say. The difficulty to get any information is 2. You only need 2 successes. But if you get more, I'm going to tell you more. Okay? So I'll give you a general idea of how things are in terms of morale and how people feel about this new prince. For 2 successes, I'll give you more information. For more successes, you're going to roll. How many dots do you have if you add your composure plus your insight?
That's 5 dots, and then plus my specialty is 6.
Oh, great. So roll 6 dice, and every one that comes up 6 or above is a success. Let's see how Petra does.
And do we have hunger? Do we have any hunger right now?
Thank you so much, Skid. Hunger is a super important part of this game. You have 1 hunger right now, Petra. Everybody is at 1 hunger, so make sure that one of the die you roll is a hunger die.
Okay. I have 2 successes.
2 successes. So you get a general feeling of how people are feeling, and what you see is agitation. People are kind of trying to quietly and subtly argue with one another. The Primogen Council is taking seats on inside the ring right now. The Primogen Council is like the board of directors of vampires in this city. They are the leaders of the clans that are in the Camarilla, and they look very subtly, because they're cool as cucumbers like you are, Petra, but you're sharp enough to notice this. You can tell that they have a little bit of nervousness about them, like they're a little worried about what's about to happen.
Okay.
Let me talk to one of our other characters to see what they do at this time. Malcolm Webster, any thoughts? Anything you'd like to do?
The good doctor?
Yeah.
He's a weird dude, and so he is just. He comes down, he greets Skid's character, and sees that he's kind of in his element, and maybe he looks up to those offices. Is there a way to access those offices?
He could go right up to the lodge if he'd like.
Yeah, I think he's going to take his drink and meander up to the lodge. And the whole walk there, he is just like, his gaze is constantly just taking in his surroundings in the type of way that, and everybody's vampires, they're all a little weird, but like if you catch gaze with him, you feel very uncomfortable, because he's not like undressing you with his eyes, he's just looking into your soul, and there's nothing there.
Very good. So perhaps he meets the new prince as she moves by with her retinue, and she is dressed not as a medieval monarch, as some princes affect, but she looks like a tech CEO. She's very put together, very kind of like, harsh lines. Mm-hmm. She's sort of short. She's Chinese. She looks a little like Awkwafina, the actress Awkwafina.
Oh, no.
She's pretty diminutive. And you have that very unsettling gaze, don't you? Mm-hmm. So roll. Do you want to intimidate her as she walks by with her retinue? Do you want to catch her eye? Do you want to affect her or connect with her in any way? Or do you want to let her pass?
I don't think I want to intimidate her. I just want her to know that I'm looking at her and remember me.
Great. As she walks by you, she looks at you and she goes, "What's up?" And then she moves past you down out of the lodge. Behind her come the various Tremere, and in fact, there is a Malkavian among them who have witnessed the ceremony, the secret ceremony wherein she was sworn in as the Camarilla's Prince of Philadelphia. And a particular Malkavian that you're aware of walks out of the chamber that they were in, and it's Jonas Wolf. Jonas looks like an Amish man, like a Mennonite, because Dr. Malcolm Webster, he has a chin-strap beard and kind of like, he's holding his hat in his hands, and he says, "Well, it's done, and God help us all."
You're in Pennsylvania.
Yes. And he's kind of moving, and of course his flock is with him. And his flock, by the way, all the vampires that he has sired or that belong to his coterie are women who are like in these like, you know, big dresses that go up to the neck. The mini brides of Jonas Wolf follow in his wake. Would you like to say anything to him after he makes that comment to you?
What do you mean by it? What is done?
She's the prince now. We've lost Carlisle. A great servant of God was Carlisle. You wouldn't understand, Webster, because you're a papist. But Carlisle had vision. Vision, I tell you. Oh, doomed. The final nights are indeed here. Well, let's go and get this over with. And he starts heading down the stairs, and his pale wives follow behind him.
I'll just make eye contact with every single one of them.
They all kind of look at you like, "Stay back! Don't you dare! Don't lust after us! No! We are unavailable, and you should step back." That is the vibe that they give you. And now I would like to switch our camera to Valeska. Valeska, is there something that you would like to do in this time before the presentation begins?
Well, Valeska has absolutely no desire to be around a boxing match. So she will, like, with a gesture, everybody gets up in her entourage and like escorts her out towards the ceremony that's happening.
Very good. You also arrive as it is ending. The new prince is filing past you. You may engage her if you like. Jonas Wolf and his congregation are filing past. And then the Tremere of Philadelphia, among which is the new sheriff, the newly appointed sheriff, this guy Piper Hendricks. And Piper Hendricks is this guy who wears like one of those like fedoras, but with like a really bright peacocky band. And he looks like he's always going to the Belmont Stakes. You know what I mean? He's got like a powder blue like suit jacket and a little bow tie. And when he sees you, he's like, "Hey, Valeska, how's it going? Are you enjoying your night?"
Drinking a blood julep.
After giving a very polite bow to the newly appointed prince, my expression changes. "Hello. I'm sorry, what was your name again?"
It's Hendricks. Piper Hendricks.
That's right, Piper Hendricks, and
I've been in the city for 30 years.
That's right, and I'll very slowly extend a hand out, very begrudgingly, for him to take.
Do I dare? Do I have the courage? You must be pretty put out that you and your little circle aren't going to be the ones making decisions around here anymore.
How do you mean?
Sorry, I like to call him like I see him. I call a spade a spade. I bet that you're pretty upset, yes?
No, of course not. Rules are rules. Our prince was appointed democratically, I say with like a sneer, showing my teeth.
You are beautiful and horrible all at once. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, darling.
I hope I never have to, bring the law down on you, because I will do it if I have to.
Break
Trust
the
that.
law? Me? Of course not. I wouldn't dare.
There's a lot of people following you. I can never make sure that they're all, registered. Okay.
Oh, they fall in line, and I snap, and they all just turn to attention.
When you do
They're
that,
harmless.
it's creepy. He a potential enemy? I don't know. He's really giving you the guff tonight, Valeska. Perhaps you'll have to crush him like an ant later.
Perhaps.
Finally, Skid. what's Charlie doing to get ready for this big presentation that the prince is giving?
I think honestly, he goes up to Jonas.
Yeah.
And he says, "Hey there, Jonas Wolf. What have you been talking about? Papists again, have you?"
Hello. Yes, my clanless brother. Come. Break bread with me.
I'm not your brother, you idiot.
I will be patient with thee. I know that as one of muddied blood, your temperament is not always your own.
So
I want you to know, and he puts his hand on your shoulder, that in my Philadelphia, you will always have a voice. I speak for those who can't speak for themselves within the Camarilla. And you know who speaks through me, Charlie? It's God. I was going to say God.
yeah, Charles is just like staring at him, and he just leans in and he takes a big puff off of his cigar. And he says, "That's all well and good, boyo, but I'll just say this. You say one more word about bleeding papists, and I'll drop you like you'd drop a battery-operated device." Blows the smoke in his face. Walks away.
Very well. And now it is time for the prince's presentation. She takes the stage, and she is so unformal that you can see some of the Toreador and the Ventru bristling at how she's like, just like, ding, ding, ding. Is this thing on? Hi. Wow, this is the mic that we got? This is very old-fashioned. Hi. I'm Domino Who. I've been chosen to take a hand in the governing of this city. Who's on first? I had help naming these characters, and I love that name.
I did too. That's great.
And I love that comedy routine. Okay, so she takes the stage, and she says, "All right, well, I hope you all enjoyed the match. So much for circuses. Let's talk about bread. I take the throne of Philadelphia at a time of crisis. Your former prince has disappeared, perhaps called to the elders' mystery war. The Second Inquisition has never been more powerful, more effective, or more ruthless. Pittsburgh is in full lockdown, and your city is overpopulated. Let's look at the data." And she presses a little like slideshow thing, and suddenly all these bar graphs and stuff comes up. And she goes, okay, 1.579 million people in Philadelphia, 25 citizens of the kindred, the Camarilla in Philadelphia. That's 10 more than is easily sustainable. She goes, according to studies that have been taken by the Ivory Tower, a city of this side usually draws parasites, that's unregistered kindred, in a 2-to-1 ratio with a Camarilla kindred. That means there are probably before the lockdown, before the Inquisition attacked Pittsburgh, there were probably at least 50 parasites operating in Pittsburgh. And that's when a bunch of kindred go, no, it can't be. No, you're joking.
And one of my entourage just fans me like aggressively.
Yes. She goes, wait, I'm not done. With the current Masquerade breaches in Pittsburgh and the Inquisition lockdown there, we're taking on refugees at an alarming rate. Some have obeyed the 5th tradition of hospitality and come to me, and I have included those in my census. But others are just out there running around. We have up to, according to my studies that I've undertaken, up to 100 unregistered kindred in the city of brotherly love as we speak. And if that made you kind of have to fan yourself, Valeska, that's a real mic drop, although she doesn't drop her old-fashioned mic. People are kind of like gasping and yelling at her. And then one of the Red Goblet Society says, isn't it the sheriff's job to catch the parasites? And Domina says, I'm satisfied that Mr. Hendricks he will do a good job of it, but his small operation is not enough to handle all of these refugees. So, I'm instituting a plan for downsizing. And she hits the slide thing again, and like this downsizing kind of, I know that's a scary word, but I think you're gonna like where I'm going with this. I'm putting a bounty on the head of every vampire poacher in the city of Philadelphia. The coterie who brings in the most parasites wins a prize. It starts tonight. The deadline is in 48 hours. First prize is a free pass to South Street. South Street is the best hunting ground in the city. It's just covered in bars. It's covered in drunk people who basically wander into your arms like, eat me. This pass cannot be revoked by my administration. It is bottomless, provided you remain a citizen in good standing with the Camarilla. She hits another slide. Second prize is University City. We'll even give you a parking pass to go along with that eating pass. University City, of course, is where all the students hang out and drink too much. It's also a gentrified section of West Philadelphia in the middle of like a pretty rough zone that is very populated, so it's easy to hunt there. Third prize is you're fired. I'm kidding. I love that movie. There is no third prize, though. The coteries who don't bring in any unregistered kindred or who fail to impress will have their hunting grounds revoked, and their feeding will be subject to the permission of other, more capable hunters. That's when people start going absolutely nuts. And if there weren't a lot of very scary Camarilla officials on stage with her, and you know them because they are masked. The Archons of the Camarilla wear strange kind of masquerade masks. One is wearing the head of a jackal. The other one is wearing like a bat mask. And they're standing with her holding like swords on their hips. People might be frenzying and rushing the boxing ring right now, but they stop short. She says, I'm deadly serious. Ask your primogen. This is a matter of survival. You're supposed to be hunters, so it's time to hunt. That's when Jonas Wolf stands up and says, you would ask us to destroy other kindred. You are asking us to destroy our brothers and sisters, our blood. Surely there are some souls worth saving. As Moses said to God. As Abraham said to God. I got my biblical references mixed up. At Sodom, would you sweep away the righteous with the wicked? And Domina says, I've thought of this. I don't want a murder spree. I want these vampires captured, staked, mesmerized, so they can face Camarilla justice. If you have no choice but to dust them, very well, but bring us the ashes. Master Sergeant Vitalia assures me he will be able to confirm if those ashes came from kindred. You have 48 hours. Each of you will be handed a list on the way out the door. If the Camarilla you're hunting's not on that list, you need to bring them to us. That is when the party is over. And you see that the entire crowd has gone into an uproar, and Domina and her coterie of Archons and Camarilla personnel are kind of leading her to safety out the back door of the boxing venue. And you are left with the mission that your coterie, made up of a psychologist, an artist, a socialite, and a former minor league baseball player.
The Federal League was a major league. It's been recognized as such by the Hall of Fame. I just want to make that clear. My stats count the same against anyone else's.
Your coterie must find a way to bring in some of these rogue vampires, anarchs, poachers that are out in the city. And so, when we come back, you'll tell me your plan, and you'll begin to hunt. But that is where we are going to end it for tonight.
Amazing.
Thank you, Jared. Yes.
That was so
Amazing.
great.
Yeah.
Wow. This game is
That's intense.
fucking crazy.
Yeah.
We haven't even gotten into the humanity and the hunger yet. I mean, wait till all that starts to pop off. And then it gets it's so nasty when you start, and then it gets nastier.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Nasty.
Can't wait.
But I'm a nasty boy, and I like nasty things. I want to thank you guys so much. You were so fantastic, hanging in there with the whole character creation process, and I love your characters. And I'm especially happy that they don't seem particularly suited to the mission that I've come up with.
Not at all.
So
find a
that
way.
adds a dramatic irony to it that I just love.
Yeah.
You got to prove you're dominant predators in this most dangerous game of predators.
We're the B team.
Yeah. The B team who just got ousted from their position of status, but you can get it back. All you have to do is bring in a bunch of rogue kindred.
Wow.
That's it. That's it for tonight. I want to thank you guys. Thank you, Troy,
Thank you.
Skid,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sydney, and Noura, and thank you, Grant. This has been New Game Who Dis. We'll be back soon with more. I guess all that's left to say is, I love you. I love you.
I also love you. Whoever we're talking
Talking about
to.
the viewers?
Yeah,
Sydney?
no,
But
me
okay.
too.
Yes.
Me
Oh, okay,
too,
right here.
obviously.
Thank
Congrats
you,
to the
viewers.
winners.
Thanks for
Oh yeah,
watching.
congrats to the winner.
And congrats to the winners. And play this game because it's fun and it lets
Yes.
you do. It lets you fulfill all the fucked up nightmare fantasies that are floating around in your sick little heads. Play with caution. It's rated R, and we have discussed any kind of triggers that we have before we started playing. Okay, great.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night,
Good night.
everybody.